Our first competitors in round 1 of this anime intelligence tournament are L and Light from the series Death Note. L, the world's greatest detective who was tasked with hunting down Kira, also known as Light Yagami, a student ranking as one of the best in Japan who finds a supernatural notebook and uses it to kill criminals. Which one of these characters is smarter? Let's find out. Up first is Spatial Intelligence, and the first category in Spatial Intelligence is observations of materials. Who between Light and L observes the possible materials they can use, who sees more things that could benefit them. Between Light and L, Light seems to be aware of more things at play. This could be because of his advantage with the Death Note, but even when he lost his memories, he was able to notice things he could use to get an advantage in finding Kira. I believe Light takes this category through hard difficulty as he edges out L, but it's not by much. Next in the spatial category is observations of space. Who is more aware of how much space there is and what's going on in those spaces? For this category, I believe L takes this as he was able to use his observation of space to deduce error in Kira's plan to kill the FBI agents. Light has some spatial awareness too as he observed his surroundings in the bus jacking, but his awareness was more on the materials than the space itself. I think L takes this with medium difficulty. The last spatial category is puzzle solving, seeing how pieces can or can't fit together. From what we witness, as L seems to see how the materials and the space work together a bit better than Light does. He was aware of the time frame on how long the subway took to make its route and noticed Ray Penber was on the train for longer than its entire route, which L found suspicious. Light can also observe these things, but it's his inferiority to L here that allowed L to be aware of this to deduce a clue about Kira compared to Light who didn't notice this. I think L takes this with medium difficulty. L wins more points in this category, so he wins the overall category. When adding up all his points, he gets 21 points in this round, making the score 21 points for L to Light with 4 points. The next category is Interpersonal, and the first category under Interpersonal is understanding your intentions. Who between Light and L understands their own intentions better? Between them it would appear as though Light is slightly better in this category. Light seems to be more aware of what his goals are and is more set in them than L is, which allows Light to be a better planner than L is, compared to L who isn't always aware of what he intends to do, contradicting himself in justice and even admitting that he isn't sure what to do next. I think Light takes this category with medium difficulty. The next category is understanding what you will do, as in the characters knowing or understanding what they will do. L seems to be more conscious of the decisions he's making. When both Light and L think of something, typically L will be more cautious and prepared compared to Light who isn't always aware of the repercussions from his actions. L takes this with medium difficulty. The next category is understanding your limitations. I think L takes this as he often admits when he's been outplayed and the reasonings behind compared to Light who will overlook what he is limited by simply because he believes he's unrivaled because of the Death Note's power. This is more prominent for Light in the second half of the series, which is what's bringing him down a bit. I think L takes this with medium difficulty. Understanding your knowledge is the next category. Light seems to take this one as he uses his knowledge to his full advantage compared to L who overlooks some knowledge he had as per se giving the FBI agents fake ID when he knew Kira needed a name and face to kill. I think Light takes this category by medium difficulty. Next is adaptability. Light appears to be more adaptable to a variety of situations, always having something planned just in case for most scenarios compared to L who admitted he had no clue what to do when faced with something he hadn't experienced before. Light takes this by medium difficulty. The last subcategory is emotional control. Both L and Light are extremely good at keeping their emotions under control, but L seems to edge out Light here just a little bit. We rarely see L lose his cool and he always stays consistent even under pressure compared to Light who has let slip his composure as we saw in the second last episode of the series. L takes this by hard difficulty. Light won more categories under Interpersonal, so he gets the overall points, which gives him a total of 20 points in Interpersonal Intelligence compared to L who got 9 points. Now we move on to Linguistic Intelligence, and the first category is knowing what you want to be said or what needs to be said. Between Light and L, Light takes this category as he easily finds the right words to say to get people to do what he wants compared to L who often miscommunicates with his team and oftentimes makes his own team dislike him because of the things he says. Light takes this category by easy difficulty. Next subcategory is knowing the order of things to be said. Light seems to find the correct order to explain himself more often than L does, as Light follows a more linear path that is easier to follow compared to L who will occasionally veer off on the subject and then come back to his original point. Light takes this by medium difficulty. The last section under Linguistic is knowing what words best describe you want to say. L takes this one as he picks more specific words and intricate words that allow him to express himself more clearly compared to Light, who will oftentimes have to consider his choice of words when L would know exactly what to say. L takes this with medium difficulty. Light won more categories under Linguistic, so he gets the overall points, giving him 19 points in this category, and L with 4 points in this category. Next is bodily kinesthetics, and the first category is upper body control. As demonstrated, we see more upper body control from Light than we do from L. So Light gets upper body control with medium difficulty. Lower body control will obviously go to L. We see how much control over his weight and movements he has with his lower body, which we don't see any from Light. L takes this with easy difficulty. Last category is reflexes. At first it's fairly even, but seeing the second fight both Light and L had, L reacted to Light punching him almost instantly, so it's safe to say L has better reflexes than Light. L takes this with medium difficulty. L won more categories, so he gets the overall points, giving him 15 points in total, and Light with 4 points. Interpersonal is next, and the first category is understanding others' intentions. L takes this one as he was always able to see what others were thinking and knew even what Light was planning at nearly every given point. L takes this with hard difficulty. Understanding what others will do is the next category. Light edges out L here, as even though he might not have known what L's intentions were as much as L knew of Light's intentions. Light understood what L would actually do in a given situation despite any intentions he might have had, seeing how he knew L would eventually release him from confinement even though L had intentions to keep Light locked up for longer. Light takes this with hard difficulty. The next category is understanding others' limitations. L takes this one as he was able to deduce nearly all of Kira's capabilities without actually knowing of the power itself, while Light already had knowledge of real-world detectives. L takes this with medium difficulty. The last category in this section is understanding others' knowledge. Here Light edges out L as he knew how to take advantage of what L knew compared to L, who never took advantage of any knowledge he had over Light as much as Light did over L. Light takes this with hard difficulty. Light barely beat L in this section, so he takes the overall points, giving him 21 points in total for this section, and L has 8 points. The next section is Existential, and the first category is determining what to believe in. Light takes this one as L claims to be justice once but doesn't preach or talk much of what he considers to be justice. Light takes this with easy difficulty. Next is consistencies in that belief. Looking at both characters, it's relatively close, seeing as both of them contradict their beliefs at some point or another. However, Light's beliefs are more consistent than L, who constantly goes against the very thing he hates himself. Light takes this with hard difficulty. Light won all the categories, mean he gets the overall points, giving him 12 points in total, and L with 0 points. The next section is logical, and the first category is gathering information. L takes this one over Light as we see L's process on how he gets information, and it is much more focused and consistent compared to Light, who when he gets information has to still make a lot more assumptions compared to L, who gets information. That allows for easier connections. L takes this with medium difficulty. Next is deductions of information. L takes this one slightly as he was able to make connections that Light overlooked. Light is also nearly on par with L here, as even L comments on how good Light's deductions are, but L edges it out. L takes this with hard difficulty. The last category is how information is used. Light takes this category as he makes better use of the information he has in his planning compared to L, who often overlooks information when considering what plans he should make, to Light, who doesn't overlook things he sets into motion as much. Light takes this with medium difficulty. L got more points, so he takes the overall points for this section, giving him 26 points, and Light with 7 points. The next section is musical, and the first category is determining different sounds amongst each other. L has no showing of this, and Light barely has any showing of this, so by default Light wins by easy difficulty. Next is determining where the sound is coming from, which is once again something L hasn't shown and Light has barely shown, meaning once again Light takes this by easy difficulty. The last category is determining what is making the sound, and as it was the last 2 times, Light is the only one with an actual showing of this, though barely giving him this categories with easy difficulty. Light won every category as he was the only one who actually displayed any musical intelligence, giving him the overall points, which means he has 23 points and L has 0. The last section is Naturalist, and the first category is understanding of elements. L seems to have a wider variety of knowledge and understanding of his world and how things work, so much so that it impresses Light. And considering L was also raised by the greatest inventor in the world, this makes sense. So L takes this with medium difficulty. Next is understanding of how elements work together. Light takes this as we see him put together and invent his own trap with what appeared to be a day. It appears as though Light puts into practice his understanding of elements much more than does L. Light takes this with medium difficulty. The last category is understanding of animal nature. L seems to have a better grasp on the workings of a human being in general, knowing how humans are. Light might know how to get someone to do what he wants, but he doesn't necessarily understand the process on the same level that L shows, as we see L quickly explain things like how humans would rather win than lose, or describe word for word what Kira thought of L during the live broadcast. L takes this with hard difficulty. L got more points and wins the overall points, giving him 19 points in this section and Light with 6. Now we come to the results. When we add all the points together, we see that L has gathered 102 points in total. L edged out Light in the categories that were worth more points. L was definitely a strong intellectual opponent for Light, but as for Light, he got 116 points. L and Light were fairly close in the categories where L won, but when Light beat L, it was by a lot more, which closed the gap in the areas that were worth more points for L. Simply put, L barely edges out Light in the categories he won, but Light dominated L in the categories he won. In conclusion, after gathering all the points, we have determined that Light is the more intelligent character than L, and thus he will be moving on to round 2 of this anime intelligence tournament. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and thanks for watching.